And we're back with some NBA observations right here on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Truly appreciate you joining us again. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to catching us. Again, please like and subscribe. I know I always say it, but I always mean it. Make sure you give us that 5-star review and like and follow if you're listening out there on audio. And again, truly appreciate the support for all you see and all you hear and all you do for us right there at the Lakers Fast Break as well. But it wouldn't be an NBA observations without a great NBA observer, and he is back. Life got out, ahead of me on last week, so I could not meet with him last week. So I do apologize for that. But it is, of course, the guy from the J Notes, part of the fan-sided experience that knows his stuff. Indeed, it is Matt John. Matt, great to have you back. Playoffs are here, my friend.
I know. Christmas arrived again.
Indeed, for the basketball world, this is when all those people who say they don't play defense or they don't do this or they don't do that, that usually gets shut up right about now, because this is when you see everyone step up as far as their game is concerned. And this is when it gets serious, because if it doesn't, then you will not be able to advance in the playoffs. Even a team like Oklahoma City or San Antonio, who now some are talking about possible upsets. And I'm like, okay, all right. Here we go on that. But again, you have to stay focused through 4 rounds of basketball in order to get it done. But Matt, I'm excited for it on both the East and the West. But let me hear your thoughts on the East. Let's go for the East on that. Again, we're not finished as we record this with the plans, but we can just say, the Detroit Pistons for whoever is finishing 8th, and then so on and so on. Boston and Philly looks like they're rekindling their old relationship. Although, as I say with the Lakers and Boston, it really doesn't have that same panache and romanticism. I think, older fans like me have to step away from that, because whenever you have a Lakers Boston or a Boston Philly or something like this, now it just seems like, okay, this new age, new era, new players. It's just a new way of doing things, man.
Yeah, and the last time the 76ers beat the Celtics, I wasn't even alive. And I believe that the last time they beat them was 10 years before I was born. So it kind of puts in perspective of like their supposed historic rivalry. Like, for what it's worth, the Celtics-Knicks rivalry is very much legit. Like, they can definitely say they are rivals, especially because the Knicks have beaten the Celtics the last couple of times. The Sixers, though, I mean, they've had their close calls, but it's hard to say whether or not this really is, even though they've been in the NBA for a while, it's hard to say this is a rivalry when one team has clearly had the other's number for all these years.
Absolutely. And I don't think that's going to change. We'll start there with Boston and Philly. I don't know the status of Joel Embiid, recovering from the appendicitis, how soon he can get back into it. Tyrese Maxey carried the weight of the world in that play-in game. He exceeded my expectations, because I wasn't even sure if they were going to be able to, or how they were going to be able to focus against Orlando, but they did an amazing job in that game. And they do have some things as far as that they could throw at Boston right now, but without Embiid for at least 3 or 4 games in this series, I don't see it going that very long.
Neither do I. I mean, first of all, I just want to give props to the 76ers, because last year was such a disaster for them. Like, Paul George was so that I won't say it's on him necessarily, but that really did look like a complete catastrophe. And Embiid and the lack of certainty with his health. McCain goes down, and just like they were also like very much at risk of giving the Thunder a high lottery pick, and they managed to escape it. And like the fact that they have come back somewhat, and even though I'm a little skeptical of whether or not Embiid really can keep this up, because he just keeps getting these ailments or these injuries, like they at least now have hope. As far as like this series goes, I'm not optimistic about them. Like even like here's the thing about Embiid that people keep forgetting. He's not really a good playoff performer. Now, whether or not you want to argue that's talent or that's injuries, I mean, that we can debate that into,
He
for
has the worst luck with his health. You got to admit. I mean, Bell's palsy, appendicitis, numerous injuries, and it always happens to him at the worst possible time, man.
I know that is the worst thing. And who knows what would have happened
His
if he had.
back, his knees.
Yeah, but nonetheless, like, and I, the whole point of me saying all of this is that, like, at least the 76ers have something going for them, even without Embiid. They're not on Boston's level, I don't think. Like, I think it would take probably a magnet ball for them to beat the Celtics. I just think the Celtics have all their bases covered. The last time these two teams faced off against each other, Neemias Queta went off, and that I believe was without Jason Tatum. And so, and I think Tatum, I think also kind of he's always had the Sixers kind of like the Lakers. If I'm being honest, he kind of has them penciled in of like, you passed on me in the draft, and I'm going to make sure you regret every second of that every chance I can. So I do think that the Celtics, they're not going to mess around with the series. And like 3 years ago, they had a great series, but I do think Missoula was a little inexperienced. I think Missoula now has the appropriate experience to be like, nope, we are not even going to mess around. We're taking care of these guys. At best, it goes 5.
Okay. I think it can go 6, but it would take a heroic effort from Maxey and also Embiid to come back later in the series. If Embiid comes back by game 4, that can change the dynamic a little bit because I know that's something that Caleb Ponce earlier this week talked about was Neemias Queta. This is a big test for him as far as this postseason, as far as how much he can hold up from the center position. Because if Embiid comes back, that won't make life comfortable for him at all. But again, it's a great test for a guy who was once discarded by Utah and is now reaping the rewards from the Celtics. So
Data?
he was waived by Utah, wasn't he not?
No, Sacramento.
Oh, okay, but he was traded to Sacramento. Was he
I think
traded?
they drafted him.
I thought you played for Utah at one time.
I'll check it out, but I
Oh,
don't. I don't think
I'll check, man, because I was under the impression. Let me. I may have made a
he
mistake.
played for Utah State.
Utah. Oh, that's why. That's why I had Utah in the brain. Okay, that's my bad on that. So, okay,
Yeah.
but I know that he was out there and had been discarded. And the great story is that a reclamation project. I remember him being on the G League teams and the summer league teams, trying to look for a job with the Celtics, and you see how it's graded up since. Yeah, you're right. Sacramento and Boston on that. So I want to go ahead and make the correction. Utah State is where I get that mixed up. So you got it. Called it. I missed it. So
He was waived for JaVale McGee. Like that's the other thing that makes me laugh is that Sacramento was like, no, we're gonna give up on this talented center for 36-year-old JaVale McGee. Who Dallas just waived. That makes sense.
well, look who did it.
Yeah, I definitely know. But like, it's kind of amazing how even when the Kings kind of got their act together, they still make moves. You're just like, why? Like, why did you do that?
And this is the team, remember, that just admitted that they're saying that their coach made a mistake and didn't tank, and then they talk about the next week about retaining him for next year. So there you go. There you go, indeed. It is, of course, Matt John for the J Notes, part of the fan side experience, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching listening. So again, we both have Boston moving on in the second round. I don't see that as an issue as well. Wanted to go ahead and get your thoughts on Detroit versus whoever they play, be it Charlotte or Orlando. This could be if Orlando does not win tonight, later today, this could be the last game coached by Jamal Mosley. Charlotte and the the LaMelo Ball Trippers, we'll say, as far as it's concerned. I know that Bam Adebayo is not going to send him a Christmas card anytime soon, nor is Asia Wilson. But I will say it's going to, whatever happens, either team, Cade Cunningham still is the X factor in all this, and how far this team can support him on a run. It is so hard for a singular player in today's NBA to have a run by themselves. He needs the support. Can he find the support through 4 rounds and get that?
So who are you asking about? Can you repeat that?
Cade Cunningham for Cade
Cade Cunningham.
Cunningham.
First of all, I'm gonna preface it with this: like, if Orlando wins tonight, I say that's the biggest play-in upset ever because it really feels like it's over for them. Watching that Celtics Magic game, like it was a fun game, obviously, but watching it from a Magic perspective, I'm just like, oh man, it's bad for them
Yeah.
right now. They couldn't beat a team of second and third stringers who has it doesn't affect them at all whether they win or lose, and you still lost. Like, where is this going? Like, how do they
Knipple
still?
has to start playing well though for Charlotte. He has been struggling as of late.
Yeah, and I was definitely that playing game versus the Heat definitely shocked me of how kind of how much Knipple wasn't a factor in that game. So anyway, point that I'm getting at, like, I think the Hornets are going to win this series, and I do think that is a huge win their game against the Magic, and I think that we could be in for an epic series between Detroit and Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte would come up victorious, but if you told me it's going seven, I'd say yeah, I'd see it. Like, what it's going to make this so much fun. This won't be a classic 1v8 where it's clear the one is so much stronger because everyone knows with Charlotte now they've been kind of they they played their best at the best time. Like, they're definitely, I do think they are going to fit. This is kind of the first step for them, kind of like with Detroit last year. But I do think that Charlotte, like, I do think that Charlotte will give Detroit a couple of great games, and more importantly, like, if you watch their games this year, those two teams definitely have it out for each other. They don't like each other. There's a rivalry. There's tension there. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing all the fights, like all the drama. I do think Detroit wins. I think if they win as quickly as possible, it's probably 6 games. But it wouldn't shock me if Charlotte pushes it to 7. And I do think that if and when the I guess more than anything else, if and when the Pistons put them away, the Hornets are going to feel the best an 8 seed has ever had when losing a series.
I'm just gonna say this: they need the support. Jalen Duren needs to be there. I mean, if anybody, as far as Detroit fans are going to think that they have a chance to go beyond Boston, beyond New York, beyond Cleveland, Cade Cunningham is going to get a lot of attention. So he needs to have that support right there consistently. And they've played well without him during his absence. So this is going to be a big test. They are now jumping out of just the first round type deal like they did with New York. That feel like you said last year with Detroit, New York. They pushed New York a little bit. They felt good from it. They feel that that's their experience. Now the tables have turned, Matt. Now they're the ones that are supposed to be the favorites going in, and we'll see if they can go ahead and be comfortable with that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't have I actually very like, as much as I praise Charlotte, I do think Detroit is actually really good. Like, they just happen to be going up. This was like when the Celtics. I don't mean to bring up bad memories, but any Lakers fans who were watching in
I'm I'm
2008.
I'm cool with it. That's okay.
In 2008, the Celtics won the title, but they had that first round matchup against the Hawks where it went 7, and it wasn't necessarily that the Celtics were kind of disappointing a bit, but the Hawks were better than their record made them look. It was more about, yeah, the Hawks, they're next. Like, they are next season, they're going to be much higher in the East, and they were. So I do think that, like, me saying, oh yeah, the Hornets are going to give it to the Pistons, it's not a reflection of the Pistons. I actually think, like, they're not, because of how young and inexperienced they are, they're not getting enough credit for, like, they could be the toughest challenge out in the East. I just think, man, the Hornets are they're tougher than people give them credit for. But I do like the Pistons. It wouldn't shock me if they do. I'm not shutting down any notion that they could come out of the East if all goes their way.
We'll see how feisty the Hornets can be. This is a learning step for them. They're in the position that Detroit was in last year, so we'll see how that affects them. With New York, though, New York in their matchup coming up, how do you see things going on? Because New York, I don't know, first season, a lot of people, including myself, had them thinking that they were going to take that next step to be a dominant team. They re-signed their starting lineup. They got a new coach in there, Mike Brown, that was supposed to dynamically change their offense. Your thoughts, my friend, on this as they go in and face off against the Atlanta Hawks? They had that large run, I think 11 wins, 12 wins in a row late in the season. They're still playing okay heading into the season. They've got into the playoffs. They've got Jalen Johnson, a budding star. They've got Nikhil Alexander Walker, who Caleb and I earlier this week called the most improved player of this year. I think he is the most improved player. If you have another, then I respect your opinion if it's somewhere else. But
No, I was just gonna say he's the Jazz's biggest regret over these past 4 years, letting him go because like his story's been awesome, and given where the Jazz are going to go next year, he'd be awesome on that team.
absolutely, and Minnesota has even a bigger regret with Nikhil Alexander Walker because they signed two, they plan to sign two of the three. Okay, I would have chosen a different two. That's all I'll say in that. But again, you got Nikhil Alexander Walker, Jaden Johnson. How do you think this young Hawks team, despite some of the noticeable flaws we see on their roster and disappointments like in Zachary Risache, who has just not stepped up as a number one overall draft pick, how do you see them though matching up? Because they do come in a little bit of a high note because they're playing the last 2 months of the season.
It's Hornets-esque, isn't it? Um,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, like I think that they could give the Knicks a better series than the Pistons did last year, and that series really did like. I think a couple of those games really did come down to just the last second. Like I think the Pistons were within inches of like really really giving the Knicks quite the scare. Like it's again one of those. This is a team that is peaking at the right time versus a team that is the more dependable bet between the two of them. Like New York is kind of like they've always been a little they've been a little, I want to say, eccentric, like inconsistent, I think might be the better word. But I think this is going to be a great series between the Knicks and the Hawks. I would still pick the Knicks, but I do think the Hawks are going to push to 7. Like, and also shout out to the Hawks for like they traded away Trae Young, and it's abundantly clear they chose right when they made that deal. Like
I agree.
all due respect to Trae Young, I'm pulling for him to redeem his image a bit. Same goes for guys like John Morant or Zion Williamson. I'm hoping those guys can restore their value. But as of now, it is clear that they made the right move. And besides Johnson and Kyle Alexander Walker, you also got Okongwu. Like McCollum is kind of that steady veteran presence who is still a threat to just get buckets, and that's kind of what a young team who wants to do some damage. A guy like him is exactly who they need. Like I do think the Knicks are probably going to win this series, but I do think the Hawks are definitely going to give them a few good punches. But they are like it's because of how inconsistent the Knicks have proven themselves to be. It's one of those, man. I'm just not like if the Knicks don't win, I would be like the Pistons versus Hornets. I believe Pistons are winning no matter what. Wouldn't surprise me if Hornets give them a few good bunches. Hawks versus Knicks. I expect the Knicks to win. But if the Hawks beat them, I'd be like, yeah, I could see things breaking right, and they could beat them because of how just not dependable the Knicks are. And I hate bashing the Knicks because they were impressive last year. They did make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. But there's just so many there's so many factors that go into whether or not they can do it again, and there's just so many things could go wrong for them. So Knicks are my pick. I'm more than happy to be wrong.
We will find out, my friend. But again, that with the Knicks, I still feel this has been an underwhelming season for them. I think a lot of Knicks fans are kind of disappointed. I know there was a lot of excitement going into the season with the Knicks, and we'll see. And a lot, whether fairly unfairly, criticism has been thrown a lot into Cat's lap. Whether you think it's fair, whether you think it's unfair. And I don't know if it continues on for next season because again, that New York media, New York fan base can be rough on a guy who they feel is underperformed for a guy who's I think did he win the rebounding title or he I think
I don't know.
he might have. So again, he was averaging over 12 rebounds. No, he just a rebound behind Nikola Jokic, who had those video game numbers. So yes, Karl Anthony Towns, 12 rebounds, 20 points a game, and still underwhelming between a lot of people's eyes. But again, I understand it's the defensive side, but if they start throwing those Mitchell Robinson cat lineups again, like they did in last year's playoffs, that might be a little bit of a game changer once again.
I mean, Towns, I definitely respect the talent that he has and how much he does provide for a team. He's just a little too reckless, which is why I think the Timberwolves were more than happy to be like, yeah, you can. We're happy to trade you to the Knicks. We'd rather depend on Julius Randle, but and even so, like I do think Towns is a little too. He's a little too undisciplined for me to think, oh yeah, this is if I want to win a championship, this is my guy. Like Brunson, for like by comparison, I like Brunson even before he went to the Knicks. And for all the people who shame the Mavericks for just simply handing Luka Doncic on a silver platter, they had to hit Jalen Brunson on a silver platter to the Knicks. And he's awesome. Like he's so annoyingly good, but you would love him on your team. To think that he and Luka were on the same team, and then the Mavericks broke them up. Like oh my gosh, that is like Ted Stepien level of bad managing by a team. I mean, they still made the finals anyway, but still. Like point is that I like Brunson so much that he could overcome Cat's problems.
We made a video, I think, about it a month ago on a what if they had stayed together. So it's funny because again, they're not neither of them are on Dallas right now. So they do have Cooper Flag, so their future still looks okay on that as far as I'm concerned. But the other matchup is Toronto and Cleveland in a matchup that I don't think excites many outside of Cleveland and Toronto, quite frankly. Toronto, once they got to about 9 or 10 wins above 500 in the regular season, that's where they stayed. They just kind of flatlined. Their whole season was just right there. Not bad, not good. A little bit above expectations. I mean, for the talent that you see on that roster, and is like there. But Cleveland is a team that's hard to figure out with the pieces in place. Caleb and I talked about this on Monday. If they put things together on a run, they could conceivably find a way out of the East. If Strus hits his threes, if Harden does his share, of course, Mitchell plays like the Mitchell of earlier this decade at the playoffs because he used to be a huge playoff performer. If you get Mobley to finally take that next step, and if you get Allen to be on the receiving end of a lot of lobs from Harden, this is a team that could give any one of those teams up above them problems, but could also systematically find themselves deviated and apart and find themselves out very early as well.
Yeah, to be honest, like I think the Cavaliers may have lucked out going up against the Raptors because I just don't think the Raptors are that good. I'm just if you lose to the Celtics without Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, how good are you? That's my question. What are your long term prospects? Like, so I mean, I'm happy for them that they finally made the playoffs. Like Ingram, he turned out to be a perfectly fine acquisition. I don't think he's a golden one for them. I do think their ceiling is very low with him and Barnes. I don't think either of those guys are your guy if you want to win a title. And I like Barnes. I do think Raptors fans kind of overhyped him after he had that rookie season. But I do think the Cavaliers. It's kind of funny because I do think this is a series that really could go. This could be a sweep by the Cavaliers if all goes their way. I really do think that, and I think there's also a scenario where this goes to 7 because the Cavaliers also they have notorious struggles in the playoffs. And that's not really James Harden is also he does struggle a lot in the playoffs, and even in his late 30s, he still is quite good, and I'm really impressed by that. He may not be MVP Harden, but he's still an excellent player. But I'm a little skeptical of the defensive resistance he and Mitchell will have. I give them props for yet again, they went out and they traded DeAndre Hunter, who was not working for them. They brought in Schroeder, they brought in Ellis. They even acknowledged, the Garland Mitchell duo is not working. So we went out and got James Harden, who may not be a good defender, but he's taller, so we have more size to work with. So they've kind of had a topsy-turvy season. They are kind of like the Knicks in a way. It's kind of funny to me because as much as I talk about how the Knicks are inconsistent, so are the Cavaliers in a way. And they didn't really recapture the same mojo they had last year. And even then, the Pacers still beat them. They've tried to rectify this problem, but I still am kind of the mindset of they fixed a problem this year, but they didn't fix the problem. I still think they'll beat the Raptors, but I could see this being a sweep, or I could see this going 7 and coming down to the very last minute. Even though I don't really think the Raptors are really all that much to brag about, it's just because of the Cavaliers' playoff issues where I think, yeah, this really could go either way.
Once again, it's Matt John. Please go ahead and check out what he's doing today at the J Notes, part of the fan sided experience. He's got stories up there right now, including one that he posted earlier today. So go ahead and check him out and check his workout right there at the J Notes, part of the fan sided experience. And I know he'll have a ton to write about during the course of the off season for the Jazz as their future looks increasingly brighter right there in Utah, indeed. But Matt, we'll get it over to the Western Conference. And I don't know. I don't care if it's a revived Steph Curry, how long his knee will hold out. We don't know. Uh, Kristaps Porzingis is upright right now. That's
For now.
nice. It's great, great story that he's feeling better. But we'll see what happens between them and the Suns. But whoever they match up against, as far as that's concerned, OKC, do you see either getting a game from OKC in that first round?
No. Um, it's kind of funny to me watching that Warriors Clippers game where Porzingis looked like Porzingis, and I was like, that is kind of the Porzingis experience where he kind of proves why you'd want a guy like him, and also proves why you didn't have to give up much to get him. At the same time, he is talented, but he is not dependable. So it's like, as I'm happy to see him, especially because he's injury prone and he's illness prone, but he can't keep this up. So even if the Warriors win tonight, and if they get another performance like that from him, then they'd be my pick tonight. But I just like the problem with Porzingis is he's just like he already wasn't a durable player, and now he's even less so. And I can't even believe that that's possible. But anyway, like, and even if the Suns are also kind of a great story just in general. Like with the Suns, it's kind of one of those, we thought they were the most helpless team in the league coming into this season, and they proved that notion wrong. They got the right coach, they got the right personnel. Then the Warriors, they're one of those, the fallen contender who's really just on their last legs. Like they are pretty much out of luck at this point. I mean, but regardless of whose season continues, like OKC, they're going to run through that matchup I would say pretty easily, just from just a talent and just cohesive. And I also think the Thunder know what's at stake this offseason because they are going to have to start making some moves because they can't keep this core together. So I think they're very much of the mindset of we need to strike while the iron is hot because the formula is about to change. So, like, regardless of who wins Warriors Suns tonight, it's the Thunder series. They win in 4.
We'll see what happens, but yeah, it does not look like whoever wins is going to have a long stay in the playoffs with Oklahoma City there. On the other side, though, it's interesting because I'm hearing and I'm seeing videos a little bit as far as the Portland Trailblazers based off of Denny Advia's 41-point game and their victory on the road in Phoenix. Now, something seemingly getting a lot of love for a team that's been all over the place. Of course, his injury to his back for a while, that was cause for concern, but he seems to be a lot better now, obviously. And he's definitely a player for the future. But I think people are selling, and I said this before with you, I think people are selling San Antonio short. They're all saying it's the experience, experience, experience. And I would normally agree, as I've experienced throughout the course of my life watching basketball. When the lights are brightest, younger players have a tendency to freeze. But then there's 7'7" Victor Wembanyama, who has the ability and confidence. The key is his confidence in himself and what he believes and his sheer will to win. I think will propel him to be one of the greatest players we've seen in a while. And he is certainly on his way to doing that right now. I'm not going to underestimate Victor. I'm not overestimating. I'm not going to say that they're going to run to the finals or beat OKC or anything like that right now. But I just think if you start selling the Spurs short, like some people in the media have already done today, as I've seen, ESPN, then, or just to throw out there even as teasers, I just think you're selling the Spurs just a tad bit short.
I think it's very possible. It's unfortunately it's almost like the Jazz next year of like, listen, we just need to see it on the court before we can make any judgments. But they have the makings of a team that can run through the Western Conference because of how good Wembanyama is by himself. He basically is he's the NBA's most transcendent defender, and who knows how long. He just controls the defensive end by himself. That's how he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. And so I think Portland is a smartly coached team. I also think that them making the playoffs is actually a big deal for them because they did it without Damian Lillard, who they are very much looking forward to, seeing him come back next year. So I do think they are very hopeful of what he can add to this core. I also think if he does look like Damian Lillard again, which coming off Achilles in mid-30s, who knows if that will be. This is probably the best core he's had surrounding him since the LaMarcus Aldridge days. So I do think Portland – I don't think they'll beat the Spurs. I think the Spurs will win and probably I don't think it'll be a sweep. I think it'll probably be gentleman's sweep or 6. But I could see Portland, they could very well show a blueprint to the league of this is how not necessarily how you stop the Spurs, but this is how you make them uncomfortable. I do think that is what Portland may show. They have guys who have been there. Drew Holiday's been awesome for them. Jeremy Grant has also done some damage in the playoffs. I don't think I would pick them. They wouldn't be like one of those, oh, I think the Spurs are winning, but if things break right for the Trailblazers, they'll win. No, I think the Spurs are firmly going to win this, but I do think the Trailblazers are going to could show the NBA this is how you slow this team down if you want to beat them.
Well, there's only a couple more matchups left, and I know we'll hit the Lakers last on that one. So the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, whatever maneuvering that was done or tried to do by the Nuggets at the end of the season, I don't know if that's what they wanted, but they certainly got Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves, who have had again, like last season, heading into the playoffs, kind of an up and down season. Some of that based in injuries, some of that based in just play. But you never should doubt Anthony Edwards. I'm not going to do that as well because look what happened with the Lakers last season when they were in a 3-6 matchup against the Timberwolves. But this feels sort of different, despite the fact the addition of Ayu Dosunmu has been a very good one. The Minnesota Timberwolves just don't give me the vibes of a team that can take advantage for 2 rounds to get themselves into a third time straight into the Western Conference Finals. It just does not have that same je ne sais quoi type feeling to me.
It's as long as we're talking about Nuggets Timberwolves, it is funny to me that the Nuggets they also saved their best for last, the very very last.
Mm-hmm.
They looked like a contender for the last few weeks of the season. So suddenly the title is back on the table for them. But at the same time, they're going up against the team that was designed to beat them, and I do think this could be a pretty fantastic series for all sides involved. I'd still go with Denver just because the Timberwolves the loss of Mikhail Alexander-Walker that proved to be a little bit costly for them. I love them going out and getting Dosunmu. I am glad that we are now in this era where teams are trying their best not to double down. When it's clear, no, you need to get something. You need to get someone. You need to get an upgrade. Don't roll with the score. Something needs to get better. So the Timberwolves did that, and I appreciate that. Same thing with the Nuggets. They they said, Michael Porter Jr. may be a better player than Cam Johnson, but Cam Johnson fits better with what we are trying to do. I appreciate teams having the courage to go out and just fix some things. So anyway, with that said, I could see this series going 7 just because the Timberwolves have done it before, but of course it was 2 years ago. They were a different team. They had Towns. They had NEW on their team. But I do think, I looked up a stat, apparently the best Jokic defender in the NBA is Julius Randle. And apparently, Rudy Gobert is actually not too far behind him on that front too. So I am looking forward to seeing what the Timberwolves do in the series. And as much as they are different, so are the Nuggets. The Nuggets had Contavious Caldwell-Pope. I think they had lost a couple of their guys, though, from that title run in 2023. But I think this could be, if I had to place my bet on the best series in the first round, I think it's going to be Timberwolves Nuggets just based on the history. But if the Nuggets are for real and this stretch of the season was them being no, you guys better not forget about us. We We are coming for you. It could very well be a sweep or a gentleman's sweep.
So let's save for Lakers fans the best for last. Lakers and the Rockets 4-5 series coming up this weekend. Luca coming back from Spain. He was a Real Madrid game. Excuse me if I could say that right. Real Madrid game yesterday. All that. That's great. Was supposed to be, I thought, according to reports, be back to Lakers facility as early as today. Looks like that. I don't know if that was the case or not, but still, he's not coming back through that door and onto the court yet. We don't know how long it will be with that European treatment that he has gotten. But also, Austin Reeves is still just taking his baby steps at this point in time in practice, from what I'm seeing. So the Lakers are going to go at it against Houston, a team that also has had some ups and downs this season. Your thoughts, my friend? I've said to Caleb, I said if the Lakers are going to win this series, they have to win the two at home to get started and get that momentum.
It's kind of funny to me that the Lakers, they obviously got the worst hand dealt to them just before the playoffs. It's awful that they don't have two of their three best players come into the playoffs, and there's no telling when they'll be back. But they are going up against the one team that, while they didn't lose their best players, they lost their glue players. Like, there's no telling where Houston would be if they had Van Vliet and Adams coming into this series. If they did and the Lakers didn't have, I would say, oh, the Rockets are going to sweep this easy, because those guys really do fill in a lot of gaps. But their absences, like, I don't think it's a given that the Rockets are going to win this series. Like, not just because those guys aren't there, but because the Rockets really failed to fill in those gaps. They failed to compensate for their absences, and I do think that that's a problem. And if there's one player that I know who can rise above any sort of setback, it's LeBron James. I don't care that he's 41 years old. I do think that, it's still child's play to him. He looked awesome, like even when the Lakers lost Reeves and Doncic. So like, I do like, it's actually kind of hard for me to predict, because I do think you've got LeBron, like Marcus Smart. Even if he does overestimate his abilities, he competes. Among the things that he is, one thing that he is not, he does not fold. He goes down swinging, and I do think that's the right kind of guy to have when you are down like the Lakers are right now. So, gun to my head, I would pick the Rockets just because they have more upfront talent. But if there was one series where I would think, yep, I was wrong, and I'm not surprised that I was, it'd be this series, because I do think the Lakers have a better chance than people are giving them credit for. It's easy to make that conclusion because of what they've lost, but I do think they are better coached than the Rockets are. Like, I have kind of lost my faith in Udoka. Like, watching the Celtics handle them pretty easily a few months back, I was just like, this guy is so not imaginative. Like, so I do think that this is also JJ Redick's chance to prove, no, like, I got the job because I'm qualified, not because I'm LeBron's friend. Like, I actually am a good coach. So I do think this is a big measuring stick for him. And like, even though I would pick the Rockets, like, I do think the Lakers are going to surprise people in this series.
Again, I think the Lakers have to take the first two in LA, and then if they can get some help from either Luca or Austin by game 4, then things can happen. And I'll leave it at that. But again, I can't say I blame anybody for choosing the Rockets. I couldn't blame Caleb. I certainly can't blame you. Anybody out there that they're going to be the favorites, and they should be the favorites with the two top scorers for the Lakers currently out of the lineup, and no to be determined date for them to come back. So we will have to wait and see. But it is to the advantage to the Lakers that they are getting days off, sometimes a few days off between games here, and that could be a key to getting Luca or Austin back on that court and maybe salvaging a first round victory against the Rockets.
Just winning, I think, 3 games could give them enough time for Luka and or Reeves to come back. And if and when they do, that changes everything.
Absolutely, my friend. But before we head out, I want to go ahead and get your thoughts. Taking it, who are your finals picks right now? We'll just go ahead and get some early final picks so that when you are right, you could go ahead and say, "I told you so, Gerald. I told you so."
I believe that we are getting Nuggets Celtics.
Okay, but did we have a winner in that matchup?
Oh, who do I pick to win the title? I guess I'm just gonna have to go back on what I said earlier. I did I did take it back, but I just think they're so dangerous. I think the Nuggets are winning the title this year.
If they are healthy and they got everything right, they do have a little bit of added help off the bench, which I thought was key last year. Getting into the season, I thought that was a big improvement for them. Hardaway Jr. can shoot you in a game and shoot you out of a game. And again, he is not relied upon as much. Although, if he does have the hot hand, you could see a couple games where he just literally will take over for them. Jamal Murray is a proven playoff performer, although he's slid in the past couple seasons. It's not been as pretty. I'll say that. But Nikola Jokic, that guy, yeah, I mean, I love the fact that everybody was saying, yeah, he hasn't looked quite good since, coming back from the knee injury. What are his averages? His averages are still a triple double. It's still video game. It's still unreal. It's like, okay, yeah, I would love to have my center come back from a knee injury and still average a 25-point triple double. That would be super for me if that was the case, right, Matt? I mean, come on. Where are we here?
Yeah, it's one of the burden of high expectations. I do think Jokic is just that incredibly good that even on a bad knee, like you know what I am looking forward to a Clash of the Titans with Jokic and Wemby. I would love to see those guys just go head to head. It's going to be insane.
And it would just freak everyone out as far as the old heads like me for concerned is to see them doing it 7-footer against 7'7" facing up each other against each other at the 3-point line.
The NBA's biggest freak of nature against the NBA's most unstoppable player, I would say.
Exactly, indeed. But before we end out, I wanted to get your thoughts on now that Luca and Cade Cunningham were allowed to be, they got the approval from an independent arbitrator. All apologies to Ann Edwards for the 65 games. They got the bypass on that and are eligible for postseason awards. Your thoughts on who you would pick as a all NBA first team, and if do you have any specific awards you'd like to go ahead and dish on out?
With those two included, like, I mean, it's it is kind of sad to me that like the Lakers kind of had an inconsistent season, and Luka did kind of play a part in that, but he is still insanely good and still has a reputation that he earned. And bottom line is that while everyone thought the Pistons were going to be good, I don't think they were going to be as good as they have been. They had that number one seed from start to finish, and they didn't even have that co-star for Kate, as you said. So as much as it does pain me, but it wouldn't shock me if next to Wemby, Jokic, and Shea, Luca and Kate are going to take those last two spots. As much as I think someone like Jaylen Brown played his heart out, like really like helped Boston persevere through everything, it's probably gonna go to those two in the end. I mean, like it's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. It's a shame because Jaylen Brown may never get a chance like this again. Because Jason Tatum is going to be healthier next season. He's already pretty healthy now, and we're already seeing he does look like old Tatum. But yeah, I do think it probably will go to Luca and Cade, but that's just how it is. And second team isn't that bad. As far as like the other awards go, like it's funny to me that like checking on the updates, there is a spreadsheet that keeps track of who's voting for who. It's funny to me because like even though I 100% believe this, like Joe Mazzulla looks like he's running away with Coach of the Year, which is ironic because he just said, "Oh, that's a stupid award." But at the same time, like there were so many deserving candidates this year. So, and while I do think Mazzulla will earn it if and when he gets it. Like it is funny to me that he is basically running away with the award. Like, and I think it might be because but besides the fact that the Celtics exceeded expectations, I do think that Mazzulla, everyone kind of thought, oh, is he a good coach or did he just have a loaded team for all these years? And this season he disproved that. So, like the Celtics being as good as they are, in spite of what was working against them, and I think Mazzulla kind of proving, no, I'm a good coach. You do not underestimate what I can do. I think I think he's going to get an award that he may have disparaged, but one that he definitely won. Fair, that he definitely could and maybe will win fair and square.
And SGA is your MVP, I'm assuming, because he's looks like he's got it at this point.
I mean, like if anything, I say the NBA knows Wemby's coming, so this might be the last year Wemby doesn't win it.
Yeah.
So like if SGA wins, I don't have like SGA or Wemby, they definitely deserve it. So if SGA wins, it may very well be let's just give it to him while he can still win, because from here on out, Wemby might win 3 or 4 in a row.
I was ready to give Wemby the award if they had passed Oklahoma City, but you know what? I think that for me, winning is a lot. That's why I had Comp Knippel ahead of Cooper Flag for all this time until this late faltering, like last 2 weeks of the season. Knippel fell off the face of the earth, and that's kind of like I I admitted to Caleb. I said it was close, and it still is close. But now I'm going to lean into Cooper for the Rookie of the Year. I mean, your Rookie of the Year thoughts before we head on out.
I mean, like it's funny like comparing those two, because like the Mavericks, like even though Flag is that ray of hope for them, they really put themselves in such a crappy situation that was entirely avoidable. Like anytime you see him, but see who he plays for, you're just like, he's playing for the team that should never have gotten him in the first place. Like they put themselves here. And so, despite like he does look the part of a franchise cornerstone, and I'm excited to see where things go from here with him and Dallas. Like Knippel, like he played a part in Charlotte's turnaround when they looked like a team that was pretty much all in on the tank to all in on getting that last playoff seed. Like I do think Flag is going to be the better overall player. But I do think that Knippel is going to be the one who probably contributes to playoff teams from the jump. It's epic Rookie of the Year races are fun. Like I guess like more I will. It's almost I would say it's kind of like LeBron versus Carmelo in 2003. Like I'd give it to Flag just because I think he has shown himself to be the more talented player.
I don't think you can go wrong either which way, because I was up until the very last week, I was stating Com Knippel because of the fact that he has contributed to winning. But yeah, that he wasn't contributing to much winning in that last couple of weeks of the season, because his numbers have gotten, and even in the play-in numbers are so bad right now. He has to, for them to be competitive at all and to win later today here in just a little bit, he has to play better. He has to shoot better, and he has to shoot like he did for virtually most of the season. But I do give now the slight edge. Like Caleb said on Monday, 51-49, I'd go with Cooper right now. But again, if you think otherwise, I cannot blame you a bit. But Matt, I know you post a lot of stuff right there on the J Notes. What you working on the J Notes before we head on out?
What we're working on is just the upcoming decisive coin flip. Jazz fans are probably tuning in because if they win the coin flip, then they get the 4th best odds, and that means their pick is theirs. It would no longer be possible that the Thunder will get their pick. Even if they lose, the odds are still great. We're covering that. We're also covering Walker Kessler's future. Ryan Smith had something very telling to say on the Pat McAfee show today, and you better believe we covered that too. So draft and Walker Kessler stuff, if you want to tune in for that, feel free to check out the J Notes. And it's not just me. We've got a great staff.
There you go. Indeed. Yes. A ton of great stories. I'm actually looking at it now. You've got Jackson Winder. You've got a lot of great people there that are actually doing a lot of good things. So go ahead and check it out today at the J Notes, part of the fan-sided experience indeed. Well, Matt, I look forward to our conversation, hopefully next week, if all goes well, so we can start really digging into round 1 impressions. Any last thoughts, my friend, before we get on out of here for the weekend?
Yes, and I don't mean to overstay my welcome, but this is something that I do want to get off my chest. I want to talk about the Bucks fallout because, oh my gosh, so Doc Rivers, he says he's retiring. Everyone's piling on Doc Rivers, and I'm not saying it's not entirely undeserved, but here's my hot take. What would a better coach have done differently than what Doc did? I feel like Doc was put in a situation that was doomed to fail. Like anyone could have failed with that Bucks team. Like, so I am kind of tired of everyone saying it's Doc's fault. It's like, is it? Like, I kind of felt like the Bucks were a sinking ship.
They are. But if you're John Horst, it's just like you were trying to put every piece together and trying to do everything you can. Some of the stuff was very ill advised, but he was trying to do everything he can to try and put something decent around Atentacumpo. So a lot of his last move, when history looks upon Horst last, because I think he's also not long for the Milwaukee world, in my opinion. They'll look upon his last 2-3 years with a lot of desperation moves, and it won't look too kindly upon him. But he did build a championship team. You have to give him credit for that. It's just the old adage. Okay, you built a championship team. Now, what are you going to do to sustain it? And we've seen with Rob Pelinka, he has never had this team in the Lakers reach that plateau again. And with it's just so hard in today's day and age with the salary cap considerations and everything into it to consistently build a championship level team going forward.
Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to about Horst, like, and we've seen trades backfire badly on teams. The Lakers, for example, the Dwight Howard trade, complete disaster. All due respect. For the Celtics, Kyrie Irving, complete disaster. And but it's however, at the time, we all understood why those trades happened. We all understood what their appeals were as individual players, and it seemed like a pretty easy deal to make. And how this relates to the Bucks is I've never seen a free agency decision backfire the same way a blockbuster trade has. Where, like, the Miles Turner decision, like, I've never seen a situation where everyone involved in that situation benefited from it except the Bucks. Like, think about it. Like, so Miles Turner, the Pacers weren't going to pay him, so the Bucks gave him the contract he wanted. The Pacers, they were not comfortable giving Turner the contract they wanted, so they let him walk and then got Ivica Zubac. Damian Lillard, like, he's going to get paid a lot of money, and he's going to get paid $100 million by the Bucks for the next 5 years. Like, so he can comfortably get paid and not even have to worry about getting a massive contract elsewhere because of what the Bucks are paying him. And the only one who lost was the Bucks. That move was understandable, but I don't see why Miles Turner. That was the one thing where I was like, all of this for Miles Turner, a good player, not a great player, not the best, certainly not one of the best players if you're trying to win a title. He wasn't one of the best players on that Pacers team last year. He helped, but he wasn't like, he was just so. If he was so serviceable, they wouldn't have let him go. But I've just never seen that before, where a move like that backfired on a team but helped everyone else. Like, so that's just what was so funny to me.
Well, we will see what happens with as far as the Milwaukee Bucks are concerned, because I think you have to trade. I think you have to trade Giannis and just move on. At this point, it's just too desperate a situation. They're a team that has a bad roster, and I think they just need to clean house from top to bottom, and that includes Giannis.
They're a Giannis trade from being the new version of the Nets teams from the mid to late 2010s of like, listen, just cut bait. Like, this is bad. And there's no reason for it to stay together. You're out of options. Cut your losses and just it's going to get bad. You're going to give up good assets to the teams that you traded with, but you can still make the most out of the situation like the Nets did.
I agree. But we will see what happens. It is, of course, Matt John. Matt does an incredible job with a ton of stories you can check out right now at the JNotes, at the jnotes.com, part of the fan-sided experience indeed. Well, Matt, it was great catching up with you. I look forward to your first round impressions coming up next week. Looking forward to seeing what everybody else will say out there. Again, I cannot thank you enough for stopping by, and I look forward to next week's first round NBA observations.